and welcome back to the Watching Now podcast from Couch Soup. Today, we've got a special episode on Doctor Who. Doctor Who Season 2 has just finished, and wow, some things happened. Some things happened. Something's definitely happened in that show,
Oh
and we're
boy.
here to discuss all the things that happened. We have a great crew today. We have a great crew. You know them from other previous watching nows. We have Ben, who was on our Doctor Who show last year,
Hello.
and we've got relative newcomer Katie.
Hello.
Hello there. And you've got me, Ian. Bet you're sick of me by now. But I'm here again to talk about Doctor Who. So before we explode with all the spoilers, we better just do a quick non-spoiler. What's your thoughts of this season?
Yeah, this season's actually been really good. Like the writing quality, instead of last season where it was going up and down, it's really been quite substantially good, like above the average mark for the entire season. So I've been quite happy to go for everything. The only really bad point was the first episode, and honestly, that really was just an introduction episode, so it's okay. And usually, first episodes aren't the best because they have to introduce a load of things and the new arc for the characters in the season. So I was quite happy. I'm quite happy with this season overall. It was really good.
I'm of a like mind, to be honest, for the most part. It's like I kept saying it week after week, I was like, this has been really good. That episode was really good. That episode was also really good. We're on a good streak. And I felt like the last episode was a bit of a mess. Just a bit.
Yeah.
Just structurally, generally speaking, kind of a mess. But not in a way that pissed me off. Just in a way that genuinely, as I was watching it, I didn't understand anything that was going on. But such is the way with Doctor Who sometimes. Sometimes they just throw so much exposition in your face, and you just kind of have to nod and pretend that you know what's going on for a while.
I mean, yeah, we're not going to spoilers yet, but I get why they did a bit of that, but also it was the same so the last two episodes are my least favorite things in this whole season, like
Okay.
the batshit crazy kind of stuff. I thought in general this season was a step up from last season because there were some episodes last season which I fucking hated. I hated with a passion.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No!
Was it the Beatles episode?
73 yards.
It was the 73 yards.
Yeah, oh my god, that's still relevant somehow.
Yeah,
It's very relevant.
it really is
actually.
relevant, and I hate that it's
It
still relevant
makes
as
me
well.
so upset that it's still here.
But yeah, in general, I like this season a lot better. But it just fell off the rails. Again, it just fell off the rails. It just fell off the rails.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Let's go into spoilers because we're all going to explode. But I'm going to make everybody just
Promise.
push all the feelings down for a bit whilst we talk about the first 6 episodes
Right.
briefly, and then we'll go on to the finales. Spoilers from now on for season 2 of Doctor Who. Here we go. What do you want to start with? I have a problem.
Ian knows what he wants to start with, and he's going in right now.
So my right. So the first 6 episodes, I've already said I like them a lot. What I have a problem with is not Belinda as as a companion, because I quite like Belinda as a companion. I just don't like the way that these 2 seasons of Doctor Who have introduced companions for a one series arc, and then done 2 episodes where the Doctor and the companion are together, and the rest of them they're totally separate and they don't have any relationship. It
I would agree.
it does my fucking tree in. It's the second and third episode I counted are the only ones where they're pretty much together for the whole episode. The first one, he's trying to save her for a bit, and then they're introducing her. then then they do some weird let's go and talk to Ruby Sunday for a bit, and then they just separate the Eurovision Song Contest one, the not Eurovision, the space one, Universe
Interstellar.
Contest one. They were separated for pretty much the whole show. They've hardly had a chance to interact. How
Well,
can you do a companion where they don't interact and then okay.
You've got to
Ian,
mention the part where they just sort of threw out any real character that they wrote for Belinda in the first couple of episodes because they
oh no,
clearly didn't have any idea who she was going to be, so they made
Yeah.
her a like cut and paste like person so that she could just sort of fit into any scenario.
well,
Yeah.
I can't really find any fault with this. She's never with the Doctor. She can't wait to get away from him. She's always just like, I want to go home, Doctor. Take me home now. And in this timeline she's in, she don't have no daughter. She doesn't have anything to go home to. She's just like, I want to go home now.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I really don't know if they're just hiding that from us or not. Yeah, the first couple of episodes, she was pretty narky. She didn't really like him. And I quite liked that because
Yes, so did I.
yeah, she was just like, get me fucking home, you bellend. You've kidnapped me.
Well,
Like, and then all of a sudden they're like buddy buddy.
Well, he didn't kidnap her. She was kidnapped by weird robots.
Yeah.
It's like getting mad at your Uber driver taking you home, saying, "Oi, why are you going round this road, mate?"
No, but she did. She was set up to like call him out on a couple of his little bits and pieces that he often pulls on people. Like the whole thing about like scanning her DNA, and she's like,
Yeah.
"You didn't ask me if you could do that. That's really weird."
It's inappropriate.
It is inappropriate,
now,
and
hasn't
he does it all the time.
Yeah,
He does
he's
it all the time, and the fact that she called him out on it, I was like, all right, this could be interesting. And then they abandoned that entire thought process halfway through the season. I'm not actually mad.
He scans the kid too. Without permission.
I noticed that as well.
He's
And she
just
didn't call him out
running
on
around
that.
scanning everyone.
Like I like Belinda. I liked how they set her up. I just don't like that after like the Midnight sequel, they basically didn't interact again. Apart from in a I love you, Doctor, we're best friends, but we really need to go home.
Except when Eurovision's around. She has to see Eurovision.
Yeah, of course.
Not space Eurovision, I mean.
Yeah.
It's the Interstellar
Interstellar
Song Contest.
It is.
I really like the cartoon character in the second one. Like, I think it's clear that somebody on the writing staff had played Cuphead like the night before. It's like, we need to get that in Doctor Who right now. And it was hilarious. Like, I don't think the character's ever going to come back again because they sort of made him like meld.
Well,
with
he's
the
part of the
or
universe now,
something.
yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, but that was fun. It's like all of these Pantheon members just like seem to easily be getting rid of over and over again. And it's just like, well, how are you gonna have them be these like incredible beings and then just have them be solved in the case of one episode without any hope of them coming back and causing trouble again? It's like it just feels a bit off. You like have them put it out to be a major threat and they're just the most easy thing to get rid of.
You
ever.
know, gods are not necessarily all powerful. They're just big. You know? Not just in size, but like it's just like you know, in any sort of mythology, you've got like minor gods and major gods, and some of them are generally speaking just slightly more powerful people than like regular people. So it's more like they're like kind of aliens as opposed to being like all powerful like beings of the universe.
I just think it's like a massive like faux pas as a writer to be like, right, we have these characters who are fundamental parts of the universe, and they're gone.
And it's gone.
I feel like that sums up a lot of like what is an issue in this sort of current era of Doctor Who. Of like, there's been a mounting of stakes high, but they're not given the gravity behind them, which is kind of the opposite of the way that Moffat did it, where he would often write himself into corners, and then you just sort of be like, something they'd just be like, and it's fixed now, don't worry about how. It's like we've got the how, but the how doesn't seem to like really support
it's like there's the fifth episode establishes that there's a way to just get rid of all of them all at the same time, and then it's like, well, no, you can't do that because that's going to ruin it.
Well, go ahead, elaborate because I'm confused.
The fifth episode, you know, the barbershop one, the guy in the spaceship on the spider web. Yeah, that episode, basically the guy says he wants to get to like the threads of reality to just remove all the gods.
No, he wanted to get rid of all the gods of story,
Yeah.
very specifically.
Yeah.
Um,
So Loki
which-
would be gone, but
Loki,
okay.
Dionysus, and Arcee, and all the ones, basically suggesting
might
that if
listen
you
to
erase
that.
the concept of people being able to worship godhood in like that sense, they are the custodians of that thing. So if they got rid of the ability to make stories, you get rid of the ability for people to create, and that was the
Right,
problem
okay.
of the whole thing, because he wanted all the credit, so he didn't want to share. And it was like, yeah, that's a fair point, but like that's not gonna help actually.
what do you guys think about this pantheon of gods? We've seen like what 4 or 5 of them in the last 2 seasons, and a few of them have been like a lot of them are my favorite episodes of the last couple of years. To be fair, Lux was a really good
Really fun
character
episode.
for a really fun episode. Like the Maestro from last year was pretty damn good. It raised stakes. I like it when the Doctor is scared of something because he's barely ever scared of anything.
Well,
But like you are right, he does get rid of most of them in the space of
well, it's like their ability to come back like is inevitably tied to how popular they are with the audience. Like Sutek came back because he was part of like a massive story in the past. And obviously like they wanted to bring that back and revisit that, and that was a good thing to do. Same as how they're doing with the finale in this season. You know, they like to bring back the ones that were popular at the time or are still popular now. I feel like they could create some really interesting new characters and some new enemies from this, and they kind of close the door on themselves in these episodes. And that's what I don't like, is because some of them are really entertaining and you just get rid of them in like one episode instead of like leaving it open for them to possibly come back again. I don't like that premise of like just having like a one and done story premise, because you don't want to have to like have this new addition to your lore that you might have to address one day.
I like the idea of them. I think it's a fun. I appreciate the sort of shift that he's going for, as opposed to like trying to take it down a sort of slightly more like fantasy like direction, so that you have ability to sort of expand the ability of what is capable of the in this universe, all this sort of thing. Kind of agree in the sense that like it's kind of a shame that some of them seem like they won't be coming back, but I also feel like some of them don't feel like they have that much longevity to them beyond the episodes that they were in. Like I don't really think that Lux is built to be anything other than a one episode like character, as entertaining as he is, and you know how great Alan Cumming is in anything that he ever does, because it was so contained, especially to that one location.
yeah.
Kind of makes you go, well, where else would you go with this? So it's kind of like I feel like there's like one or two like out there that maybe we haven't seen yet that would have the ability to like come back and be more dangerous, like as we go on and all that sort of stuff. So the concept is still very good. I just don't know if you actually have had one yet that would fill that like space. But we are severely lacking in recurring like monsters at the moment.
I saw that the thing online where Ncuti has become the first Doctor not to face the Daleks, the Cybermen, and
Master.
The Master. Yeah, he's the first one.
I don't think is the end of the world in the sense of like I don't know. I'm not saying that like to fix anything you need to make him face all of the really classic villains. It is a shame that he won't.
Yeah.
But my point more is like the creation of like new monsters that could come back at other points in time. Like I will criticize Stephen Moffat until the cows come home. He's my enemy. I'm going to fight him. But what he was quite good at was coming up with monsters that like had a kind of gimmick that you could bring back in various different forms and in various different like concepts and like you know setups and all that sort of stuff, and we just haven't had that in a while, and I feel like I'm sort of itching for it.
I mean, he brought back the silence like 3 times, didn't he? So.
Yeah, that was part of my issue with Moffat, is that he would often come up with things and then be like, I'm really smart, and then bring his own things back up. regularly because he was like, look how cool it was that I made this. I'm like, I don't care. We don't need to keep going down this. I will go crazy.
Yeah, we've got a lot to go through, so let's leave the Moffat for now. I'm sure it'll come up later. What else, guys? Do you want to talk about from the first slot of the season?
I'd like to talk about Ncuti's mood going all over the place. Like, 1 minute he's like all happy and joyous, the next he's torturing a guy. It's like,
but this is the thing. I think that was really interesting, and part of the reason why I'm so upset.
yeah, it's like halfway through the season, he just starts becoming like this really dark character that nobody's really calling him out on, and you're just like, wait, what the heck's going on? And it's like, I was assuming that if there was a season 3, they'd be continuing this like evil, shooty sort of like storyline. But it's
you are right. I think that Katie may be making that at this point in a second, but I'm going to try and jump in and see if I can understand.
Make it for me, thanks.
Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. But my point is, I was really critical, and I'm still really critical about Ncuti's take or the writing for Ncuti's Doctor on how emotional he is in loads of circumstances. The way he cries all the time pisses me off. It really does.
I'd never noticed that he cried so much until you said that, and then suddenly the season came in. And I went, "Oh fuck!" He stopped. He does cry a lot.
He stopped though.
He has stopped a little bit in this one, but if they had made him more emotional both ways, which he was starting to do, where he was starting to actually torture people, he got so angry that he became a little bit unhinged.
Yeah.
Then that makes it better. The polar opposites make it make sense. I didn't like it the one way, which was it really pissed me off how much he cried, Katie.
I don't have a problem with that specifically. I have a problem
with the fact... either. I just not noticing it more after he said it because I hadn't clocked it in the slightest.
It's just thrown under the rug. It's never going to be addressed again. It just happened.
This is the thing, because I liked the Interstellar Song Contest episode quite a lot, and I liked how dark he got very quickly. My mum was sat next to me watching that episode. She goes, "What's happening here? He's never like this." I'm like, "Oh, he is." I'm just really excited that he's doing this because, like, he gets he's a fucking egomaniac, he gets maniacal at times, and I was like, oh, it's really fun because I know how good of an actor Ncuti is. Truly, as much as people criticize the last season of Sex Education, his stuff was the stuff that really fucking got to me when I was watching it. He's so good, and it was like, oh, we're finally getting into like some really dark aspects of this character. There's some things to criticize about that episode in terms of just like the wider politics of it, but we don't need to get into that in this place. The only thing that actually frustrated me about that episode was specifically Belinda's reaction to it, in that when she came in, she's like, oh my god, he's torturing that guy. I was like expecting her to call him out on it and be like, do the Donna thing of like, hey, don't go, you have to stop, you that's too far, kind of a thing. And she doesn't. She just sort of hugs him at the end of the episode and goes, hey, I think you're a really great guy. And I'm like, this feels tone deaf in this episode.
Well, she's the type of character right now who's going to do anything to get home. So I don't think she's going to criticize the taxi driver.
I don't think that works in this context, though, because I think because they've already set her up as somebody who's like, hey, no, I'm not taking that from you.
But it's not happening to her, so it's fine.
But that doesn't fucking work. I don't know. It was like the one part of the episode that kind of like brought the whole thing back a bit for me, because I feel like that episode really would have really hit like well if she had like gotten to the point of being like, because the Doctor as a character always works the best when he has somebody who's gonna like actively call him out on his shit, or has a character that's like enabling him to the point where he suddenly realizes just how bad of an influence he's being on the other person. It's like, I was thinking about Ten and Rose, actually.
Oh, really?
Rose had a real habit of like, and I say this as somebody who absolutely loves Ten and Rose. Like, that's my childhood in a nutshell. That season is very like high on a shelf for me. But she did sort of like enable him in a lot of his really bad ways, and it blew back in, her face and ended up pushing her into a parallel dimension.
Yeah, you got a point there. The first thing he does after she's gone is almost massacre an entire race.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Like their relationship was extremely codependent, and I'm not saying this off my own back. By the way, I saw there was a YouTube video I saw the other day that kind of started suggesting. I watched like the beginning of it, and I was like, I don't know if I could get into this, and then because I was like, I don't know if you could criticize my favorite season. It's just right now, but it did bring up a very interesting point. But yes, Clara absolutely is an example of that, for sure. And I wanted this dynamic to be more of one that actually came together sort of cohesively, like that came together because like this is a person that is like that has a reason to and has like a life outside of him, and that is used as reason for her to be able to call him out in ways that are like satisfying to us as viewers. And it just sort of it disappeared by the end of the season, and it made me upset. And I have a feeling that's to do with like production issues. From what I've heard, there were a lot of reshoots.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, maybe you can tell. Maybe you can tell. If it's the finale, anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to most. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I liked so much of this season. I was so happy that at the end of like basically every episode, I was like, shit, that was good. That was like good. Like, are we back? Are we fully back?
Especially the midnight sequel episode, the highlight of the season.
I mean, for years, Midnight is one of the best. I mean, probably the best episode that the show has produced in its like, newer version since 2005. It's the best episode, and I truly when I went into that episode, so funny. Like they showed the preview for it like the week before, and I saw the pit, and I thought, oh. Are we doing like a sequel to the Impossible Planet and the Satan's Pit? Because it felt very similar, and I thought if we're in the kind of God sort of realm at the moment, that that sort of Satan like character would fit very well in this sort of like space. So when it was like, by the way, it's actually the fucking creature from Midnight, I like genuinely like. You know that meme of the guy like locking in where he's like just sits forward in his chair?
Like, oh.
I'm like, I'm in. What's happening here? Like, truly lost my fucking mind.
It was good.
And I
like
the fact that we never got to see it properly. That's just I'm glad for that for me. And I like the fact that it's still out there somewhere being creepy.
Well, we don't know that. It's left like ambiguous, but it probably will come back. Yeah.
I think the suggestion is that it managed to get out like in a very sneaky way.
I really liked that one. I liked. Just don't go behind anyone. It's like, oh, it's good.
Okay. Anyone got anything to say about Ruby versus Evil Podcaster?
I actually really liked that episode. Although, again, it's that thing again of like the sort of external politics on that episode are so bizarre because you kind of watch it and you're like, you're not said. Why are we making the like military power seem completely infallible and like correct above all else? It's a bit weird. And apparently that is set up for that new spin-off they've got coming out, the unit spin-off, and they're going to like explore that a bit more. But like I'm a little less trustworthy of that now as we've reached the end of the season. But like I don't know, it feels a little bit like. I feel like you were like right there, and then you took like a left turn into sort of like that's not quite it. But I actually really like almost how comically conservative Conrad is as a character.
Well, there's loads of people like that.
It's true. And I was like, I mean, Jesus Christ. And my friend would criticize that episode quite a lot. She was like, that's not how any of this would go down. And I'm like, I don't know. People are really willing to believe anything if it like falls into falls in line with their own like belief system already. Yeah. Like they like to feel bolstered by stuff, even if it's like it's that conspiracy level like nut job sort of perspective on things. So actually, I liked it a lot, even if it was like that kind of like so close, but like maybe like something's a bit off here. And then somebody did point out after the episode came out that that was the same guy who wrote the episode about the Kablam back in 13 with the Amazon like allegory, and where you're kind of
bubble paper.
yeah, and where you're just sort of like, you know, it had 13 going, it's not the system that's the problem, it's the people inside the system. I'm like, that's again not the message we should be sending out, but okay.
I'm a filthy casual. I have no idea what you're talking about on the 13 Kablam episode.
It was like, it was a whole like allegory thing for like Amazon and like this like big system of like, I don't know, exploiting workers and all this sort of stuff. And the resolution at the end of it was like the suggestion that it was the people in charge of Amazon that were Amazon, Kablam, that were the issue, as opposed to the entire like system of like
I remember it.
pushing for.
Basically, Ian, the enemy that they had to defeat was exploding packing bubble wrap.
Yes, it was exploding bubble wrap. But
Okay, I don't think I remember that, but I believe, yeah. Like, just believe
Another
it.
Chris Chibnall special.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't Chris Chibnall. It was specifically this guy who
He
wrote
signed
this
off
episode.
on it.
Yeah, okay.
I really liked the entire episode with the guy who in the barbershop and everything. I thought that was fantastic, and a perspective on Doctor Who that we have not seen, like very much so. And it was really interesting, and I love stories that are about stories and the nature of like stories and humanity. So I was like eating up, and I loved the whole thing with like the map in his hair and like the importance of locks in black culture and all these bits and pieces. It's just like really meaty and interesting, and just like a perspective on things that we haven't really seen in Doctor Who. And I would love for more stories like that from like parts of the world that we never get to go to in Doctor Who, because you know Doctor Who's been pretty consistently white for a long time. And it would be nice to explore a lot more cultures and history from all different parts of the world, and all that sort of stuff. And I just thought that this episode was like beautiful, and I believe Ncuti's a big reason for like getting that episode in.
I'm glad this episode happened when it did. Yeah,
he brought the writer in, and was like they developed like those are like short stories and poems that like that writer had written previously. I don't know their name off the top of my head. I just thought that was really fantastic and interesting, and like trying something new, which is what I always want to see. Like, you know, a development and an interesting new perspective on that, because that is, if anything, the thing that Doctor Who desperately needs at this point in time is like brand new perspective.
Mrs. Flood, then. Mrs. Flood. Finally, we get to know who Mrs. Flood is at the end of the Interstellar Song Contest. Because she died in the bubble thing, in the outer space. And she came back and bi-generated into
the Rani.
Well, she was already the Rani, I guess.
She was always
Punjabi,
the Rani.
yeah. And so she became Archie Punjabi became the Mistress Rani, and
she called herself the Rani.
And she was the A Rani. Like, and then we've got,
which is funny because
it's
it's like Mrs. Flood turned out to be more Rani than her after all. But, you know,
I don't know anything about the Rani other than what people have said about her online. So I know she likes dinosaurs and science.
She's a very manipulative biochemist, but most of the time she's just watching from the sidelines and making other people do what she wants for her. Usually horrific. So Mrs. Flood using her own bi-generation to do her work for her and then hilariously get the consequences, and then she just bails, is very, very on point.
Yeah.
Word for it.
So like the Mrs. Flood's still out there. Right. We're full spoilers for the finale now. Archie Punjabi, the Rani, got eaten by Omega,
who got blasted by a laser back into his hole.
Can I give this a minute? Like, the new design for Omega is terrible. Why they turned him into a giant CGI monster, I do not know. He used to be this really shouty man with a Dorito mask. and it was really badass. But then
But,
they
like
say,
Pyramid Head from Silent
yeah,
Hill.
sort of. But it was more like a flat mask than a
Okay.
thing else. But basically he would be like, I am the Lord of the Time Lords, and now he's just basically a CGI monster, like everything that happens in the finales nowadays, it would seem. Well, they said he was more of a conceptual being of what people thought he was.
Yeah, it was like because he'd been out of reality for so long, he became the thing that everybody he became the mythologized version of himself.
It does make sense because Omega has basically, when he got banished, he lost his physical form in the antimatter universe. Like his suit and everything was just like a casing for his will, and he like basically just willed himself to keep on existing. Like he doesn't have a physical form. And it looks like now he got one, but then he gets immediately like thrown back. It does make sense, but it doesn't mean I have to like it.
Does it make sense, Ben? Does it make sense?
It
I'm
does.
just gonna nod and pretend I'm
Yeah,
sure.
okay, fine.
Like
Alright.
he gets a form based on how people thought of him because he's in a spiritual realm.
I kind of get that made enough sense to me, but like as like it said and we're really getting into this, I liked Wishworld a lot actually. I liked the way it developed outwards, and like you slowly kind of got more and more understanding what was going on in the world. I literally said within like 5 minutes of the episode, I went, "Hey, straight 15's really freaking me out." And then they got to that bit in the office when he's like, "Oh, you're beautiful," and then suddenly he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh, okay, this is hell. This is a conservative person's wet dream. I see what's happening here." Frightening.
He was on point. Like Conrad is a conservative person, so you would expect.
I really liked the part in the other bit where the Doctor like asserts real time back using the time hotel, and it just turns out he just completely got rid of Rose. And I'm like, oh crap, I forgot she existed too. And I'm like, uh-oh.
And it's like, well, yeah, I guess that's the way it is in the fucking United Kingdom now.
Yeah, it's just like, oh dear, whoops.
I'm of two minds about the way that Russell has been writing this new sort of era of Doctor Who, where he's being really trying to be really progressive, but in a way that's completely not subtle. And it's been a thing. It's not just Russell either. I've seen it in other shows where they're like, we're going to really make a point and we're not going to be subtle about it. And I understand why, because nobody seems to understand the concept of subtlety anymore.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, man.
Like, people watching TV are unable to pick up on themes, so they're like, well, we're just gonna have to be really make sure that people do not misunderstand us. Even though I think there's a lot of stuff in this last episode that could be very easily misunderstood or, like, misconstrued or just, like, read in a very specific way that I don't know was the intention. So the allegory for this world was very much not subtle. The fucking books being in the exact art style of the Harry Potter books was, I honestly,
really
probably
funny.
one of my favourite touches.
That was really funny.
I was like, wow, shots fired.
Didn't even notice.
You didn't notice it was the first thing. Like, it literally is. It's the exact same art style as the original, like, publication for all the Harry Potter books, and it's like, okay, say more. Say more. And then you've got, the fact that disabled people just literally aren't seen within society, and they just completely.
But they do get to exist.
No,
They get to exist. They just,
Honestly.
he just doesn't want to think about them.
Yeah, but that's the problem though, because he understands that disabled people exist and they get to live in a homeless thing, but the other people don't exist at all. Like there's not a lot.
They just haven't got a conception of them.
Yeah, there's not a lot of consistency. With that. I agree. I am sort of done with the bonk on the head with all the you must fucking get this point.
Yeah. It's a frustration in writing, in particularly progressive writers, that I'm not just seeing in this show. I see it elsewhere as well. It's like, honestly, it's like Leverage is kind of doing it at the moment, but Leverage is doing it in a way that's kind of funny, where they're like, we're done with subtlety. Please understand, legality does not equal morality. Like, that feels like angry. This just feels like we're going, we need to make sure the stupid people don't actually understand the point that I'm trying to make.
Most of the Conrad stuff was pretty subtle, though, except for one thing that he did, which made me laugh, was that Ruby's mom hates her again.
No, honestly,
Was that part of Conrad's vision?
That took me the fuck out. Why is it that in every other reality, Ruby's mother just fucking hates her? Like, she just will disown her every time. It's like
why?
there's one version of Ruby's mum that is a good person. It's the version that she actually has, and thank God for that. But Jesus Christ.
But I'm just like, Conrad, why?
Can we talk about Ruby for a sec? Because Ruby doesn't make sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am not making any sense. None of this makes sense. And
as a character, she at the end of last season, we get it was bonked on the head of us. She's just a human. So why is she so damn special in every circumstance?
My big sort of not huge brain, but my take on the whole thing at the end of the season where she kind of could see through the whole thing is because she lived that entire lifetime out of already, and though she's it had some kind of an effect in that she
You're 73 yards.
No,
I'm sorry, but I think it's the reason. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, but 73 yards itself says there should be something special about her.
Yeah, and the maestro says there's something special about her, and she can make it fucking snow.
I forgot about the maestro thing.
And I don't know. She can make it snow.
I don't know, man.
And the Doctor's been through so many different parallel universes and stuff. It's
it doesn't make sense.
I don't know, man. I think it's something to do with the pantheon of it all.
But, my flipping theory came back again. Because Ruby being the gods pull tricks.
Yeah. No.
And then the Doctor does it again.
She's not the trickster.
It's coming back.
She's not the trickster. Go away.
I would like to see the trickster come back, though.
She's not the trickster.
No, I'm not saying she is, but I would like to see the trickster come back because those were some really good episodes of the Sarah Jane Adventures.
So yeah, Ruby's still weird. I hope that arc's not finished because you can't just leave it as her knowing things.
I kind of liked her a lot more in this season than I did in the last season. I liked it. Well, no, I just think that there was something a bit more focused about her as a character. I liked the implication that she actually was having trouble readjusting after she came back, and she's I felt again it was a bit on the nose to be I think I've got PTSD. I'm yes, darling.
I kind of really want to become Billie Piper's Doctor's mortal enemy.
Okay.
And they just start fighting each other. That would be hilarious.
Right,
it's not going to happen, but it's not. It would be so funny.
You're also blonde and also left when you were about 19 years old. Fight, because God forbid two women actually like each other.
So we're there.
They all like each other in Doctor Who. Can't they just not like each other for once?
I will say that one of the things I did that made me laugh a lot, just before we get into the specifics of the regeneration, was the moment that the Rani was explaining the exposition scene, as I think I'm going to refer to it as, because it was so long and I really didn't understand 90% what was going on. But the moment where she was one thing, I was sitting there when did the Time Lords all die out again? Because I feel that happened at some point and I don't remember it.
End of the 13th.
It was 13's whole thing, right? Okay.
It was the Power of the Doctor episode.
Okay, gone out of my brain. Don't remember it in the slightest. I was I vaguely remember them all fucking off again, but fuck if I remember how that happened. It was the bit where she was I'm building a race of Time Lords again. And they have to be genetically perfect, and there was an eye roll that went across the room as if everybody went, "Oh, for fuck's sake, not the eugenics again!"
It does make sense that. I tried to her, though.
It makes sense for her. I just thought it was so funny that everybody collectively went, for fuck's sake, we're not doing this.
In this finale, the Rani's entire deal is just she wants to bring back Omega, which is fine. She doesn't understand what he's about. She's just curious because that's what the Rani does. She just does things for the greater good that she thinks is good and then doesn't care about any of the consequences. That's her entire character. Mm-hmm. But it's when she regenerates, Archie Punjabi carries off the look and the mannerisms perfectly, but the actual character work and personality is Mrs. Flood. So I'm I'm torn because the both sides bring together like the entire character into one big whole. But it's like one side of each is missing the other side. So I'm like, I thought that was a pretty good like thing to do.
It's
They
Archie's like
literally like split.
Archie's entire like her body movements, her like mannerisms, her attitude, it's all completely like Kate O'Mara, which is just really
so like
good.
style, poise, that sort of stuff. But Flood...
Mrs. Flood's actions are what the Rani would be more like.
Regeneration.
We've all been sort of vaguely aware this was coming, right? Like,
yeah, there was rumors.
There's been like whispers for ages about like, and it basically they finished like the actual bulk of filming finished before the first season even dropped. So he's not been the Doctor for ages, really. Which is like a very strange thing to like kind of conceptualize.
The reshoots happened for for the final episode really quickly because there was a guy on Twitter basically posted like oh look, they're doing reshoots picture of them outside of what Belinda Chandra's house. They posted that they were doing reshoots there, so we know that whole scene is part of the reshoots, but we don't know anything else really.
Interesting.
It looks like he wasn't supposed to go back to Belinda's house or anything in the original like situation.
I think it's hard to say with any real certainty other than like speculation, but there's a feeling of like there might have been another season out of him, but it's whatever like scheduling or like contracts or who fucking knows seems to suggest that he felt the need to move on. I mean, I don't get the impression that he was pushed out, but I think there was some reason that he felt like he didn't want to wait around or something like again it's all speculation. I can't say for sure. I don't know the man. I don't know any of the details of the filming, so who really knows? But like I think that people who've been paying attention to like the sort of chatter kind of had a sense that this was coming. It felt like that entire last felt like 20 minutes honestly of the episode was just a lot of like running in place to get to one area, and I was kind of sitting there going like, I don't understand. Like most of what my thought process through that entire last part was just, what's happening? What's actually going on? What's happening?
What's going on? What's happening? What's that?
So I was sitting there waiting for the regeneration to happen, knowing it was coming. I liked all the stuff with him and Jodie because it felt like a nice, like, finally these two people actually got to kind of pass the torch in a way, because they never really got to have that moment before. And I also thought that was the best writing that Jodie had.
Give Jodie a good writer and suddenly everything's all good.
She's funny, so good. And I'm so sad about like just how much she never got the chance really to like dig her teeth into some really good story.
I love Jodie. Jodie
was fantastic. I loved Jodie.
The chaotic northern energy just did it for me. So
she's like great. Really... I liked the moment where she like actually verbalized that she should have said I love you to Yaz, and he was like, you don't get to, but it's okay that she knows. It was just nice to be vindicated on that fact. I know it was like really like subtextually obvious in the show, but the fact that they never talked about it pissed me off at the end of it, because they had that whole episode where it's like they were kind of like looking really moonily at each other, and then she just never says anything. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, if you like look at the real subtleties of that conversation, she never said I loved you to Yaz, but he also said I don't love you to Rose at Bad Wolf Bay. And then all of a sudden, immediately after, he turns into Rose. I mean, I don't think that's really a coincidence, being what they were talking about.
Well, yeah,
because it's the same situation that he keeps going through.
I don't think that works like 1-to-1 here, because 15 was intentionally made to be more vocally loving. The whole thing about him being more emotional was he was more emotional. As we've got to in this point, he was more emotional always. He was more affectionate with people. He was much more vocal about his like love for other people, and he was a lot less like closed off about like a lot less, not entirely like forthcoming, but like a lot less closed off about like the stuff that he'd been through, and the things that have like compounded on him in the past. and he said, "I love you more readily," and all this sort of stuff. Very quick side note: thought it was fucking hilarious that Rogue showed up. And basically, went, "I'm still in super hell. I still love you though. Bye." I was like, I'm like, one of the things my best friend was the most upset about when it came to Ncuti's regeneration. It was like, what do you mean we're not getting many more of him and Rogue? Like, I wanted him to...
Don't you know that entire relationship was just so Anita would go off and get married?
I'm so sad that we don't get any more of that. I love Jonathan Groff and I miss him, and I think he needs to come back again, and I hope that we do get him back at some point. But that just, it did make me laugh. He just turned up for like 5 minutes to be like, by the way, still in hell,
yeah.
but I love you.
They'll have to bring him back.
Don't forget, you are gay.
He's sort of like new Captain Jack, so they'll have to bring him back, won't they?
Oh, I hope so, because he's fantastic and I love him desperately. But yeah, he was very like he said he was much more like open with that whole thing and I love you. So I don't think him turning into, and I feel I'm reticent to call her Rose. I'm just been referring to her as Billy because my big thing is that I think that this is a Bad Wolf shenanigans like thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels like very much Bad Wolf coded. I don't think it's going to be really about Rose so much as the like Bad Wolf. I mean, I think it'll be a little bit about Rose.
Oh my god!
But know, it's the thing about like the fact that he kind of pushed it all into the console, and like Bad Wolf as a kind of an entity is sort of like an extra planar in like, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I feel like it's going to be much more built into the concept of Bad Wolf than. But I do think that if you've got Billie Piper back, you have to do something with Rose, and I do feel like if they've not got like a moment where she's like looking at herself in the mirror and having to like wrestle with the fact that she the Doctor now has the face of the person that he loved like just so much that he like went off the rails when she was gone, I'm gonna be a little bit mad because like that's so rich and I'm like, come on.
How long do you think that's?
I don't think it'll be longer than an episode.
No,
about 3 specials maybe.
Maybe Christmas.
I reckon it'll be Christmas and then they'll and then I don't know. It's not going to be a season's worth of material.
I don't see it myself. Like introducing Billie Piper. Yeah. Do they normally put the Doctor at the end?
They do. They did with Ncuti
every single time.
Yeah. So like she's perhaps not the Doctor yet, or at least like she could be just like in flux between regenerations. They've done stuff like that before. That's the kind of
vibe I'm going for. I think it's going to be very much like a War Doctor-y like situation of like this is like a very much in between, not really like an official like, because Russell was very like pointed when 13 regenerated back into David Tennant as it being like, this is 14, like this is not like some like strange off thing, this is 14, but they very purposely not said that this time. And it's like there was a whole like in the press the release it was like the who, the how, and the why of like why that she's back will be revealed in time was the sort of like implication. So I think it's Bad Wolf related. I really do.
Also, Billie Piper put up a message directly after going, "A rose is a rose is a rose." So
it's like a reflection, which is not to say that there won't be stuff to mine in here about Rose specifically. And I know that people are pissed about the nostalgia bait of it all, and I get it. I really do. I understand people feeling like she got completely like overshadowed by like nostalgia bait on both ends of his entire run, and I get it. I think technically speaking, they are correct. The thing is, I am the fan being serviced by this fan service, and I can't be mad about it.
Did you hear about Russell saying that 14 went and drowned in a river in Venice?
I did not. What the fuck?
He randomly said, "Oh, he's dead. He's gone. He drowned in a river in Venice."
No.
He said he didn't want him to come back, so he just said, "Oh, he's just dead."
Okay. Whatever.
I don't know how
I'm
to
ignoring
respond.
that.
I just don't know how to respond.
Lying, but I think he was just taking the mic.
She's back. She's going to be here for a couple of episodes. I will see who she regenerates into, because I mean, if we're wrong and we get a full season of Billie Piper, I don't see it, but like it could be fun.
Could be. The way that she, I think. I mean, Billie Piper's obviously got the fucking chops. She's Billie Piper. But I just think, especially the way that she said it, she said, coming back to this world for like one last time felt very like final to me, and very much in the similar way that like David coming back was like, this is just like my swan song essentially, and like this love letter to this like excellent like era of Doctor Who and all this sort of stuff. So this to me, just feels like this is a sort of, I mean, it's nostalgia bait. I know it's nostalgia bait. It's fan service. It's all of the things that people are really mad about, and I get it. I really do. But you have to understand, Rose was so important to me.
It's fair.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with this, is that people aren't going to be able to get past the previous role. So it's going to be like, the first episode's going to be the most like important thing to be like, can we get people over that nostalgic barrier? And if they can't, then
You've got to lean into it. You have to lean into it.
It's absolutely done for nostalgia as well, though, because like this is it's 20 years since the reboot this year, so I can't see it not being like done for that, you know, in that sort of sense. But we also don't have any information about what's coming after this. We have no idea if like an actual Christmas episode has been confirmed. I reckon there is. And they'll probably announce it after the war between the land and sea. I think it's what it's called.
Spin-off.
The unit spin-off will be done. I reckon after that we'll get like, and we'll be back at Christmas kind of a thing. But we don't have any information about any series after that fact, and that feels, and there's been like rumors about like the ratings being really like not where people want them to be. I've also seen things suggesting that the BBC has absolutely no they don't have the intention to drop Doctor Who. I think it's still their like really big vehicle. I think the question is like whether or not Disney keeps putting their money into it after this. Which honestly, if they took it out, I wouldn't be mad about it. I don't need all the CGI. My era of Doctor Who came from a time when, you know, there were bitchy trampolines.
I mean, yeah, it's like Doctor Who survived on some of the worst special effects ever made.
That's part of the charm.
And everybody loved it. And now there's just like these big CGI slop monsters, and everyone's like, bleh.
Yeah, or bone dogs or whatever.
Bone dogs.
Yeah. So I've got 2 quick points before we go on to ratings. 1, didn't like Return of the Space Baby. And like find Poppy is Belinda's daughter, but she's also the captain of the Space Baby spaceship, and I hated that show. I hated that episode.
I hate that episode.
Those babies sucked. And the second one, what's the point in all the teasing with the granddaughter? You keep seeing her.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of strange. And I will say that I do think that the stuff with Belinda and making her into a mother, and like the fact that it was not. Everybody was just like, we're just going to accept this and be really happy about it. I'm like, okay, but you get why that's fucked, right? You get like I feel like somebody should be suggesting that it's really fucking weird to suddenly look down and be like, oh, I've got a child that I didn't have before. Like that's horror movie stuff.
Yeah, the Doctor basically almost kills himself just to make Belinda a traditional housewife.
Well, it's just not even a housewife;
she's
it's just a mother.
Yes.
Mother,
which is like, and like,
yeah,
it didn't bug me as much as it has bugged some people. Because I felt like it kind of liked the way that it sort of integrated itself into the timeline, sort of in that sense. But I also understand that at least at the time, I feel like there should have been more of a sort of sense of like, I don't really know how to process this. And then maybe a decision to be like, okay, but I have these memories of me raising this kid, so I'd like to keep the kid. I'd be all for that. It was just done a bit strangely and not greatly. But there are people who are more angry about this than I am, and I think that if anybody wants to hear about those opinions, you should go look for them elsewhere.
Not here.
That is something else weird, actually. The Earth disintegrated in this season until the finale changed things.
No.
How?
No, it didn't disintegrate. It was just stuck in the same day, so there wasn't any beauty. They were doing timey-wimey causality shits that...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so... And they did do a like, hand-wavy thing in the TARDIS. It was saying, yeah, we just accept this. Yeah, we just accept the timey-wimey stuff, you know.
None of this will ever be as bad as half the universe disappearing in flux, and then them never discussing how they managed to get any of it back.
No, it's still
They
gone.
didn't. It's gone.
It's still gone.
It's just gone. They never got it back.
But like they're like, oh, by the way, everything's dead out there, but like it's fine now. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
Flux, like, still pisses me off when I think about it.
It was just Thanos. Don't worry about it.
All right. Before everyone just disintegrates themselves in confusion, let's go on to the ratings.
Yeah.
So how would you rate this season on a scale of 1 to 10, please? You can't rate it as first 6 episodes, then the finale. You have to rate it as 1. I'm sorry, I'm making that rule.
Pretty decent. The finale was less disappointing than last season's, being that there wasn't a giant Ruby's just a normal person, ha 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 storyline. I think I may have to take a few points off for the rushed finale, but it's not as bad as last season's finale, despite everything being a mess. So I'd give this on 8.5 out of 10. I think it was really good. This season was really good. I would definitely recommend it to everybody.
I was going to go a bit lower than that, just because there's a lot of inconsistencies going on. But like not in a sort of harsh way, if that makes sense. I was going to go for about 7.5. Like overall, I do think that the finale kind of really shunted everything down quite a bit. I think it would have been a really solid 8.5 before the finale, and then the finale like took an entire point off of it for me. But I'm also like okay with the like a lot of the stuff that's still going on. I'm still of the opinion very much at this point in time that we need like the thing that Doctor Who needs more than anything else is brand new blood. Like we need a new showrunner who's never been involved in Doctor Who before, or like has like written an episode, you know, maybe or something like that, as opposed to, you know, the sort of legacy like guys that we've had for the past 20 years. I need them gone. I'd like there to be a woman running Doctor Who. I just feel like it's time.
There has been a woman who's run Doctor Who though. Verity Lambert, the very first one.
I mean, now.
Okay, yeah.
I'm talking about a showrunner specifically. I'm talking about somebody who will be like steering the story, and I just think like we need to get away because like Doctor Who on the production level has become very insular, and we need to be outsular.
Yeah,
Lovely, love that word, outsular.
Externalizing things a bit more. We need to be like letting new people in. We need more...
Expansive.
Expand it. We need to expand the world. Yeah. And I say this with respect to the things that Russell has done, because like the number of people I've seen being like, we should bring back Moffat, and I'm like, you fucking do that, I'll kill you.
I'll take anything as long as they don't bring back Chibnall.
I mean, fair, but like either of them really. I like Chibnall's like issue, like not issue, sin was being boring, and that was just mean.
He turned the show into EastEnders.
It just became dull, and I don't like that. Like as much as I criticize Moffat, and I will continue to do so, his stuff was never like actively boring. He was still like making swings. I just hated the choices he was making, but he was making choices. I can't go back to the era of women running around like swanning about and like the Doctor making weird comments about their appearance the entire time. I can't do it. I'm not going back to the weird sexualized era of Doctor Who. I'm just not doing it. We're leaving it in the past.
Fifth Doctor had a weirdly sexualized companion as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
not going back there.
I'm not going back.
I echo a lot of what Katie said. I think we need new writers on this team. If nothing else, right? It's a really hard balance here because on one hand, I do think that a lot of the idiots that watch like GB News are right, that they are trying to bonk some stuff on the head and it feels like a lecture. On the other hand,
Fuck you!
But
And I don't care about their opinion.
but I do agree that it becomes like it feels like a classroom sometimes, and you know, and like it was always it's always a kid show, so there's got to be morals in it, and there's got to be in non-subtle morals, but you've got to do that in a way which is entertaining and not like you're all bad people. Just stop being bad people, please. I quite liked this season up until the finale. I haven't been the greatest lover of Ncuti's Doctor, and I've said why, the emotions side of it. I just didn't like the way that character was written, but they did show us some bits where I thought that he could have been better with a bit more character progression or a little bit more of consistency with their companions. He's had like 4 episodes a season with his actual companion, and that's not good enough. It's just not good enough. But in general, you know, this is like a 7 out of 10 season, I would say. It had some pretty good highs at the start and some non-Sutek level lows at the end. But then we got Rose. So, or Billy Piper not being Rose, being a sort of Doctor. I don't know. We'll see what the future
There's
holds.
a Rose, and there's a Rose, and now there's a Rose Doctor.
Yeah.
And a rose by any other name would smell sweet.
Uh-huh.
And a poppy. We need like more flowery characters.
We don't need many space babies, though. No more space babies. I think that's it. That's it for the Watching Now special for Doctor Who Season 2. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. If you liked this, then like, subscribe, consider becoming a member of Couch Soup and support independent creators like us. Watching Now isn't going away, but you'll have to wait and see. You'll have to wait and see what's coming up. But for now, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you later. Bye.
I want to make a point. I wore this shirt in the last Watching Now episode that we did, which was Andor, and I want it to be known I own other shirts. I just like this shirt. I own other shirts, I promise.